Next on the Southern Weekend, we're kicking off summer with a road trip across the South. We're barbecuing brisket in Texas, turning left and going fast in Charlotte, going face-to-face with some toothy friends in Mississippi, tasting delicious chocolate in Savannah, and taking a boat ride back in time in Charleston. So, come join the adventure as we start the Southern Weekend. Welcome to the Southern Weekend. I'm Molly McKinney, and our first stop on this Southern road trip is right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. A city where having fun can mean going fast, whether it's getting behind the wheel or hitting the water. If you're looking for adventure in Charlotte, North Carolina, there's no better place to find it than the U.S. National Whitewater Center. Situated on more than 700 acres and featuring more than 25 land and water activities, the Whitewater Center truly has something for everyone.
So you see we've got some of the guys training here on the water, which is the competition channel, and then more of the beginner and intermediate will come down the wilderness channel on the backside here.
And tell me about the actual river. It's man-made. How on earth did you build that?
Yeah, it's definitely a large operation. That's 12 million gallons of water that pump through 3 channels. So it is the world's largest man-made recirculating river. The idea originally came from Penrith, which was the Sydney, Australia Olympic site, and saw the way that they did theirs and said, hey, you can drop one of these things anywhere. So 9 years later, here we are.
That's incredible. For me, being outdoors is really how I personally connect. It's how I de-stress, and I assume a lot of other people do that too. So for people that live in Charlotte and people traveling in, how do you encapsulate everything that the U.S. Whitewater Center offers?
We like to think of ourselves as a celebration of the outdoor lifestyle. So you can come out here and go whitewater rafting for the first time, kayaking, zip lines, rock climbing, trail running, and mountain biking. So if it's done in the outdoors and it's active, we have it.
Well, I think we have some activities to do today, don't we?
Absolutely. You'll be able to have some fun yourself.
Nice. Sounds good.
Before going on the rapids, every visitor must first attend a safety meeting and get suited up. You'll be given a personal flotation device, helmet, and paddle, plus all the information you need to stay safe.
So you guys actually have Olympic athletes come and train here. And then you also tailor to beginners like me.
Exactly, that's the coolest thing. You've got the Olympic athlete training right next to the family out here for the first time. It's one of the first places people always want to bring you. If you're new to town, they said you have to check this place out.
Whether you're a world-class athlete training for competition or a weekend warrior looking for a place to unwind, the U.S. National Whitewater Center offers amazing opportunities to engage with the outdoors right here in Charlotte's backyard. It's a must for your next visit to the Queen City.
When most people think of Charlotte, North Carolina, typically one phrase comes to mind: let's go racing. So we're here at the one place you can learn everything you'd ever want to know about the sport. So let's go inside and check it out. You must be Buzz.
Molly,
Buzz,
hi.
nice to meet you.
It's a real pleasure. Welcome to the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
Thank you. I've never been here before.
Well, you're in for a big treat.
Wow, I'm really excited.
Oh, awesome.
I hear you're the best tour guide around
Well,
town.
that's what they say, but they know I work cheap. Would you like to take a look around?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Let's
Okay.
do it.
Well, here's an interesting experience we have. We call it our track walking experience. And this is 33 degrees, and it represents the degree of banking at the Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama.
Probably wore the wrong shoes for this, Buzz. Good grief. That's incredible.
Isn't that wild?
Holy
It's
cow.
hard on the ankles, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be hard on the cars. Wow, this room is beautiful.
Oh, yeah, this is our Hall of Honor. It is the heart of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. This is where our 5 inductees are enshrined each year. We designed it in a circle so that nobody gets put in a corner. This is the qualifying lab. Now, what we like you to do is run a qualifying session, and it gets you familiar with the controls for the simulator cars.
Buzz, this is gonna be ugly.
Oh, I got faith in you. I think you're going to do great.
Right foot is gas, left foot brake. Right hand is gear up, first, second, third, fourth. You're on your way.
Here we are.
Give it some gas.
Buzz, how you doing over there?
I'm trying to get out of the pits.
There are so many controls to think about. Well, that was a humbling experience.
You did fantastic. You beat me, and I practice a lot.
I'm ready to race.
I'll guarantee you'll be very entertaining.
Feel all the turbulence of the car. Getting my butt kicked. This may be it. I may not be the driver, but maybe I could be in the pit crew.
Sure.
Stressing out. This is tough work.
Hey, bravo!
Well, Buzz, we've come full circle. This is victory lane. This is what it's all about, right?
Yeah, this is where everybody wants to be. And we certainly have covered a lot of ground today, too, haven't we?
Yeah, I can't believe what we've gotten done today. Thanks so much, Buzz.
It was my pleasure. Thank you. We do hope you'll come back again.
I will.
Up next, we're heading for Louisville, Kentucky, and a visit to one of the most unique distilleries around. It's a place where the secret to making great brandy is good old-fashioned rock and roll. And later, if you're taking a road trip, you have to stop for some delicious food along the way. We're talking brisket in Texas and chocolate in Savannah. All that and more as the Southern Weekend continues.
Welcome to the Southern Weekend. We're here with Joe Herron, who owns Copper and Kings, a distillery in Louisville, Kentucky. Let's start by acknowledging the elephant in the room. You own a distillery, but you own a distillery that is not the common liquor of choice here in
I
Louisville.
thought you were talking about me when you said the elephant in the room. I was getting kind of shy now.
You don't own a bourbon distillery in Louisville.
We own an American brandy distillery in Louisville, Kentucky.
You're not originally from here. What brought you here?
I'm from the south. I'm from the far south, from South Africa. So it's very far south. But we came down to start the brandy distillery. This is why we're here.
So that's a bold business decision.
We live in a state that has tremendous high quality bourbons that are delicious. Whereas if you look at American brandy, there's essentially no overtly American brandy.
Well, this facility is so beautiful. I can't wait to take a look around.
Oh, let's go downstairs.
Yeah.
Let's start at the stills.
Was that subtle enough? Did you tell that I was ready?
So Molly, I'm going to introduce you to our three ladies because our stills are all named after women in Bob Dylan songs. And so we have Isis, we have Magdalena, and we have Sarah, who is Bob Dylan's prettiest wife.
I actually don't know what brandy is and how it's made.
Okay, don't worry.
So I'm a good
You're not
person to start
alone. You're not alone. So here's the cheat sheet. So whiskey is distilled beer, and brandy is distilled wine. And the process of using copper has been used for centuries because copper actually detoxifies the alcoholic vapors of sulfites and bad odors and things like that. So these stills are actually directly designed in a style that's made for brandy distillation. So this is called an alembic helmet or brandy onion. That is called a swan neck. And then we have a condenser, and that's your process. Boil it, start condensing it, start condensing, condense, and finish. So it's a process that's quite slow relative to other distillation products.
How long does the whole process take from
Probably
start to
about
finish?
8 hours. Here's a number that you should know. It takes 5 tons of grapes to make 1 barrel of brandy.
Did you know this before you did a startup brandy distillery?
No. I wish I
But
did.
you know now.
I know now.
What are all the things people get to see on the tours here?
Well, you obviously can see the process of distillation, and then they can walk down into the basement, and we actually have a very interesting process in that we age our brandy and Kentucky bourbon barrels, but we mature them with rock and roll. Come on.
Oh, really? You want me to go all the way down
All
here?
the way down.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
So you play music in the barrels of all
what-
this brandy.
Pulse hits it, and then it moves away from the sound, and then they start to collide. Then they hit the wall of the barrel, and they come back again and it starts to form this distillate wave inside the barrels, which increases the frequency of contact, which enhances maturation. So
I would believe anything that you say right now.
then you get up into an art gallery where we have exhibitions. Right now there's an exhibition on the art of rock and roll, with original photography from the first photographer from Rolling Stone magazine, Baron Wolman. Then you get onto the roof and you can taste some delicious American brandy. So this is how I drink brandy, over ice. No smoking jackets, no brandy sniffers, over ice.
Isn't that the best part?
Yeah, this is American. We drink it like we want to drink it.
Feels lighter.
So, yeah, feels a little fresher, a little lighter. And so now for what's called the Copper and Kings Express. This is a very simple way of expressing the orange peel inside your glass. Well, that's good, huh? Let's have some.
I could drink that.
Yeah, I do.
I should start. This has been such a neat learning experience, and I can see why so many people come here when they're in Louisville, Kentucky. Did I say it right?
You did. You said no. You said it like almost everybody else that doesn't come from Louisville.
When the Southern Weekend returns, we're heading for Texas and a first-hand look at how an iconic Southern staple is made. And later, when you're traveling through the Lone Star State, you need to stop for some great barbecue, especially if brisket is on the menu.
This is really easy to slice.
If you want to see more from any of our road trips, check out thesouthernweekend.com. You'll find videos of our adventures across the South, as well as great tips and recipes. All that and more, anytime you want it, at thesouthernweekend.com. Welcome back to the Southern Weekend. Everybody needs a good hat in the summertime. It helps keep the sun off your face, and it can look pretty sharp too. So on our road trip through Texas, we stopped in the city of Garland to check out an iconic hat maker that's been catering to cowboys and folks who love a really good hat for more than 150 years.
We've got a brand that's been around since 1865. The hat was made out of necessity. As we've all heard the John B. Stetson story, where he was headed to Colorado and the weather was so bad they needed some protection. And he basically whipped up a hat out of animal fur. When he got back to Philadelphia, he started making hats because he saw the need for them in the West.
The cowboy hat has been a Southern staple. Why do you think it transcends all of these generations?
Well, a cowboy hat has great function. It keeps the sun off our face, keeps the body warm. The hat is a water-resistant product, so it keeps the rain off, but also, you know, in the old days, they didn't have anything to dip water with. They would use their hat to give their horse a drink. And the last drop from our Stetson is a iconic picture that's in a lot of our hats. And it's a fashion statement, too. A cowboy wants to be recognized that he's wearing a nice hat.
What do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions about cowboy hats?
Well, the number one thing is people always ask, what's in a fur felt hat? Well, fur is in a fur felt hat. There's no leather in it, there's no cardboard. The rigidity or the stiffness comes from natural shellac.
So you make all the hats here in this factory. I imagine there are quite a few steps in making a hat like the one on your head. Do you mind giving me an overview?
We are the largest quality hat maker in the U.S. We take raw fur, rabbit, beaver, hare's fur, and turn it into a hat body in our Longview felt plant. It's sent here to Garland. Then Garland turns it into a finished product. So it's issued to the floor, it's blocked to the size and shape and dimension that it's going to be with the right size brim. Then it goes through a pouncing process, which in layman's terms is sanding. We sand the brim and the crown so that it has a smooth, luxurious finish. Then the hat is shaped. We shape the crown first and then the brim. Then the trim is added to it, your inside sweatband and lining, and then your outside hat band. And the unique thing about the hat making process is how many hands touch a hat. Hats are made by people and not by the machines.
Dan is going to show us how to go about choosing the right hat. So what's the first thing we need to think about?
Well, the first thing you need to know, Molly, is what size hat do you wear? So what size hat do you wear?
I don't know.
Well, let's guess.
Okay.
Let's say maybe a 6 7/8 and see if that's what we want.
Okay.
So this hat is not quite a 6 7/8, but let's try it on and see how it fits.
Okay. Oh, that feels good.
Very close, very close.
So where do you want it to fit on your head to know that you've found the right size?
Where it feels comfortable.
Okay.
You want it tight enough that it's not going to blow off. And my famous quote is, there's no cool way to chase your hat. So let's don't do that. The next thing you need to know is what's your function? What do you want out of a hat? Do you want a hat to go ride all day? You're trying to keep your head warm or keep you warm? Or are you looking for something that's more fashion and comfortable? This is what we call a crushable, Stetson crushable hat. So you can actually pack this on your trip. It has a snap brim that you can snap down. You can wear it flat like this, or you can turn it up and wear it like this. And that one fits very well.
This one seems different.
Yeah, I can shake your head when I shake the hat, so that's good.
That's what you want?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So after you do that, and of course you always want to go check yourself in the mirror after you've tried the hat on. But this is more of a dress hat, fashion hat here. So let's try it on and see what you
Neat
think.
color.
Very nice.
What do you think?
I think it's nice.
I like this one. Approved. Where do I sign?
Still to come on the Southern Weekend, we've got our hat and worked up an appetite in the process. Next stop, Tyler, Texas, for some good old-fashioned Texas brisket. And later, our start of summer road trip heads back east to the Mississippi Gulf Coast, where we get up close and personal with some very scaly new friends. Our road trip to kick off the start of summer has taken us to Texas. We've visited the Stetson Hat Factory to see the process of making and selecting a cowboy hat, and now we're ready for something to eat. So we traveled to Tyler, Texas, and visited a mom-and-pop barbecue joint, which has been serving mouth-watering food for more than 50 years.
Shall we?
Yeah.
So excited to
Cheers.
be here.
Well, welcome.
I've heard so much about Stanley's.
Well, welcome to Tyler.
For a barbecue joint in Texas, what does it take to stand out? There's barbecue everywhere here.
There is. Barbecue is a huge part of the culture in Texas. Stanley's is definitely a tried and true barbecue joint. I mean, it's nothing fancy. It's, really close to 60 years old. We want someone to come here and have all of the parts of the experience, great food, be taken care of, understand that we're grateful that they're here, and then in return, give them the experience of, oh, that was really fun, and I had a great meal, we've got to go back. It's just a very simple place. It's a pretty simple food. I mean, not the process to making it, but when you sit down, it's cooked meat and some really simple sides. We just pair that with making sure the beer's cold and the music sounds good, and that it's a fun, happy place to be.
Do you feel owning a barbecue joint here in Texas a big responsibility to serve awesome brisket?
I do. I mean, it's not an official, Texas state thing. They have the state bird, you have your state tree. I mean, if there was a state meat, I'm sure it would surely be brisket. Texans take it really seriously. We try really hard to make sure that we're following the rules and upholding the reputation of the state meat of Texas.
Unofficial.
Yeah, the unofficial.
As a brisket newbie, How should I be ordering brisket?
Good question. I think most people don't realize that brisket is inherently a really poor and fatty cut of meat, which is why the process of cooking it is so important for it to being so good. Initially, when you get a piece of brisket in front of you, you've never had it before, if it's done right, there's gonna be a great little ring of fat on the outside. And the thing you don't wanna do is cut that off and get rid of it, because that's where so much of why it's so awesome is there. The salt and the pepper and the smoke and the rendered fat on the outside. It just becomes this own separate,
I've done that every time.
amazing part. So you gotta keep that on there.
Okay.
And then also my suggestion would be that you order the fatty cut with the bark. And you're gonna that's the outside part where the seasoning and the smoke turn into this great crisp little.
Bundle of joy.
Yes, absolutely. So don't cut it off, embrace the fat.
Describe the folks that walk through your doors here.
That's what's really cool about this place. You see families and you see guys from the oil field, students, old timers, young people. You see literally doctors in their scrubs who moments ago had someone's brain in their hands. It's a melting pot of everybody, because who doesn't deserve to sit down and have a great plate of barbecue? That's for everybody. That's what it's about.
Coming up on the Southern Weekend, we're heading for Mississippi for a lesson in what to do and what not to do when it comes to alligators. And later, road trips aren't road trips without something delicious to eat. So get ready to visit an amazing chocolate shop in Savannah, Georgia for a taste of bacon butter pecan toffee. Welcome back to the Southern Weekend. I'm Molly McKinney. Thanks so much for joining us. We are constantly traveling across the South looking for great places to visit, delicious meals to eat, and amazing things to do. And our next stop is the Mississippi Gulf Coast for an up-close look at some scary-looking residents. There is a ton to see at Gulf Coast Gator Ranch, but the main attraction is definitely the alligators. I think I'm putting this one to sleep.
Yeah, this
Maybe
one
up
here,
at 70 degrees.
his name is Squirts.
Squirts, where's that name come from?
When they squirt Gatorade from time to time.
Ooh. So how old is Squirts?
He's 2 years old.
2 years old.
And one thing that they love is being petted on the head, because there's sensors all over their heads and it makes them close their eyes. If you look on the side of his jaw, you'll see little black dots. Those are sensors that help them feel echo waves in the water, vibrations, so it's sensitive to the touch, so it makes them automatically close their eyes. The only thing they don't like touch is the very tip of their nose.
You hear that?
It's like somebody hitting you in your funny bone, you get that electrical shock that goes up your arm. So when you hit them on their nose like that, they get too close, it makes them stop or run the other way to get away from you. Now this place used to be an alligator farm. They used to raise them here to kill them for the meat, the hide, the heads. Everything with alligator gets used for one thing or another. Now we're considered alligator ranch. We're just strictly here as their caretakers to look after them.
That's so cool. So now it's more like a sanctuary for them that you
all we here is take care of them, make sure they finish out the remaining of their lives and don't go hungry.
Walk me through the life cycle of an alligator.
Okay, when they first hatch out, which there's only a 1% survival rate of each nest.
1%?
Usually they'll lay 20 to 40 eggs, but only a couple gators per nest are going to make it because there's a lot of predators out there that eat baby alligators. When they hatch out, their eggs are usually around 4 to 6 inches. Some of them are 8 inches, but most of them are 4 to 6 inches.
Okay.
And they're going to grow a foot a year for the first 6 years. Now, once they reach 6 foot, 6 years old, that's when they become adults. And their metabolism slows way down to 1 inch or 2 a year, depending on how much they eat.
And how old can they
In the
live
wild, it's 70 to 90 years. In captivity, they've been known to live up a little bit over 100 years old.
You're kidding. I
The reason
did
why
not
they,
know that.
yeah, the reason why they live so long in captivity compared to in the wild, because alligator's life depends on how much energy they use chasing food. So if they're doing a lot of chasing food, they don't live as long because they're being cold-blooded creatures. But here they're handed the food to them, so they don't use a lot of energy, so they tend to live longer.
Well, this has been so great. There's so much to see here. I'd love to go check it out.
All right,
if you're
we'll
ready.
take a walk around and I'll show you what all we got to offer here. This pen here is for rescue gators, gators that got injuries, stuff like that. Now this one here is Gwen. She's about 7 foot. She's actually blind in her right eye. Now Boudreaux over here, he's the bigger of the two. He's a little bit over 8 foot. He's another rescue gator. He's completely blind.
Really?
Yeah, he's blind from salt water. He was caught in the Gulf of Mexico about 5 years ago by gator boys on Animal Planet. So these two gators get along great with each other because she's only got to look at him half the time and he ain't got to look at her at all. Now, how we interact with them to get them where we want them to go is all you got to do is take a stick and hit them on the top of the tail right here, and it makes them go forward. If you want them to go right, you just touch them in their right leg and they swing around.
You're driving a
If you want to go left,
prehistoric creature right now.
get them in their left leg. It's a lot easier to go from behind because that's where the teeth are not at. Get her to turn around a little bit more. Turn around. You notice how she swung that tail around? The tail acts like, you know, if the head don't get you, the tail will knock you off your feet where she can get to you. Now this here's Boudreaux. Now, since he can't see, I can do this. Hey, Boudreaux, up, up. Up, Boudreaux. Open wide. Say ah. Now, the reason why he opens his mouth is because they don't like their noses touched. So what he's doing is opening his mouth to defend himself.
What should you do if you see an alligator in the wild? Maybe it catches you off guard, you weren't expecting to see one. What do you do?
Best bet is if you see a gator in the wild, just stay away from them. If you're on a boat and a gator starts coming up to the boat, you want to take your paddle and aim for that nose.
Okay.
That makes them swim away from you. But most of the time, an alligator is going to keep their distance from you because they're fearful of people.
When we return, please don't try this at home. We're getting a first-hand look at the powerful bite of an alligator. Welcome back to the Southern Weekend. Our adventures have taken us to Mississippi's Gulf Coast, where we've come face to face with some of the area's reptilian residents. And now, we're heading out into the wild.
Got some over there, and we got some over here. As you see, they sit close to each other right now because it's cool weather, they're dormant. Then when it starts warming up, they'll spread out a little more.
Tim,
Yeah.
that one's huge.
Yeah, that one's about 9, 10 foot.
How much do you think that weighs?
About 500, 600 pounds. What he's doing, he's got the head way up where that sun's hitting the back of his neck and head to warm him up. We got a bigger one though. He's right down in this area over here. But they,
I can see him from here.
yeah, that's a big boy.
I can see how he
he's
got
big.
his name.
Now, big boys around, we figure 12'6", 12'8". I've actually watched this gator swallow a butterball turkey one time, swallow it whole.
Okay. Hi, how are you
one
guys
that's got the ear protection.
Good.
Now this gator over here to your right, her nickname is Nuisance. She's actually one of our alligators that escaped during Hurricane Katrina. She'll have some notches in her tail. Those are called scoops. We cut off 3 scoops for females and 1 for males. But with the cooler temperatures, you're lucky if you just see a couple. Because most of them go up in these low inlets all along the swamp here, getting further up in the grasses, use the grasses to keep the winds off of them. I mean, cold-blooded, it don't take much to make them cold. Heck, I'm warm-blooded, it don't take much to make me cold either. So I guess that's one thing gators and I have in common.
What do you think the odds are if someone went swimming through here that they would come out okay and unscathed? Really?
Yeah, they'd be all right. The only time they ever come out to release somebody is if they're starving to death or it's a female's nest or nesting season. She will come out to you to protect that nest. Which I've had to get in the water close to the nest before, and the female sat there the whole time and just looked at me. Didn't even come off the nest to try to come after me. Still don't trust her though. Alligators are wild creatures, so you have to always pay attention. That's the #1 rule here, pay attention. You pay attention, it's a safe job. It's when you don't pay attention, that's when them suckers will get you.
That was fun.
Oh,
I can see why you like this.
You haven't seen nothing yet.
What am I about to get myself into?
Well, I figured you probably want to see an alligator up close and personal. You know,
Not sure what that looks like, but it sounds like a great idea.
I've been doing this for a little while now. I can get pretty good.
Okay, I trust you.
Yeah, I've only messed up once.
Oh gosh, don't do that.
Yeah,
I'm going in here with you?
Yeah, you're gonna come in here with me.
Sounds safe.
No, there's no such thing as safe. They do have a few blind spots. A couple of their blind spots being directly in front of them, directly behind them, and also inside of their own mouth. Now, since they can't see inside their mouth, it does allow us to get away with some tricks that a lot of people call stupid, but yeah, it lets us get away with something like that.
Do you notice I'm reversing?
Yeah, no, I saw you get
as far back as possible.
So what we'll do is we'll walk over this way now, we'll get him, we'll pull him up to there a little bit.
Use that we term real casually.
I'll pull him up.
Perfect, great, okay.
Since they can't see inside their mouth, the sensitivity has to be extremely great on these alligators. Now, the reason why he's slanting his jaws closed when I pull my hand out is because I'm touching it on the way out.
Okay.
Now, when I'm touching him on the nose and getting ready to do that, you can see every time I do it, I'm going like this and wiping my hand off. Now, because of how sensitive it is, it doesn't matter if it was a drop of sweat, a grain of dirt, even a bug flying past hits the inside of the mouth will trigger the jaws to slam closed. Don't let him. Show you on my truck?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. For me, nothing beats getting up close and personal with nature. Well, maybe this is a little too close for comfort.
Still to come, the Southern Weekend rolls into Savannah, Georgia for a sweet stop on our trip. And remember, you can experience the Southern Weekend anytime. Visit us at thesouthernweekend.com. You'll find videos of all of our travels across the South, plus great recipes and delicious food tips. All that and more at thesouthernweekend.com.
Whether you're treating yourself or you're buying a gift for someone special, you can't beat fine chocolate. And if you're in Savannah, Georgia, it doesn't get any finer than Chocolat by Adam Taroni. So how did you get started in chocolate?
Well, I went to the Culinary Institute of America, and it was during my time at the CIA that I discovered chocolate was such a passion for me. It was unlike any other type of baking and pastry I've ever done.
How did you transition from this being a passion to what you've created today?
It took many, many years. I started just doing wholesale. Then I felt comfortable enough to make the jump to opening up a storefront and building that community's awareness of what I was doing, and then the community really, their reaction to it. The Savannah community here is so wonderful.
So what do you think is one of your favorite creations you've designed here?
I would definitely say this is one of my most creative pieces. So this is actually a chocolate bar. It tastes better than it even looks. It is 72% dark chocolate, and I actually custom made this mold. This is actually from a pocket door, and Savannah is so known for its big pocket doors, and I got this hardware from my apartment, and I designed it from top to bottom, and then of course, being Savannah, we had to dust it with a little bit of gold.
Everything looks beautiful, but I can't even imagine all the work that goes into creating these pieces.
Well, I have a little surprise for you. I'm gonna take you in the back of the kitchen, and we're gonna make something together.
Really?
What do you think?
I'd love that.
Awesome. All right, so are you ready to make some bacon butter pecan toffee?
I'm ready to make it, and I'm ready to eat it.
Perfect. Right. In here right now, I have some melted butter. So I'm getting this nice and melted, which it's already there. And I'm gonna have you please pour in the sugar for me.
Okay.
There's some water here, and then this gooiness throw in as well.
Okay.
Perfect. And then I'm gonna have you add the liquid smoke.
Okay.
Perfect. Wow. So you added the salt, you added the liquid smoke. So we have that salty, that smoky, and then we're gonna add the bacon, which is gonna make it a little savory with the sugar and the pecans covered in chocolate. All the flavor combinations in here just explodes.
I would never, in a million years, think to combine all of these different ingredients.
My chocolates kind of tell a story on your palate. So I love different elements. All right, I think we're there.
We're there?
We're gonna go ahead and pour it out. I'm gonna have you grab the molds and set them out for us.
I can do that.
Perfect. I'm gonna pour this out into these little pig molds. I mean, how
Those
fitting,
are
right?
adorable.
Just a little bit in each one.
Oh, you make that look really easy.
You wanna give it a try? I can already tell you're gonna be a natural. Got it? It's a little
Got
heavy.
it. Okay.
Cool. Perfect.
Good.
Good job. They're all done. They have set for at least 20 minutes. Good job, they look amazing. So let's go ahead and pop these out. And you'll see that, if you turn them around, the cutest little pig face.
Look at that.
And so now you could kind of just eat them as is, or you actually have this. I coated them in a little bit of chocolate and pecans
Look at that.
for your little dinner party. Which one would you like? I'm gonna call this one James, and I'm gonna take it.
My grandmother's last name was Pig, actually, her maiden name. So I'll call this one Beatrice.
Oh, that's so cute.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you so much. This has been so fascinating.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming. Had so much fun.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
So good.
So good. If you're in Savannah, Georgia, you absolutely have to explore the Riverwalk. You can even take a riverboat tour of the harbor to get some of the best views of the city. So tell me about the boat that we're on.
We're on the Savannah River Queen. This is the flagship of our fleet here in Savannah. The ship can carry up to 600 passengers. The Savannah River Queen was built in 1987. She was built over in New Orleans and sailed over to Savannah, across the Gulf of Mexico and back up the Atlantic coast. We do daily sightseeing cruises. We also have evening dinner cruises. One of my most favorite cruises is our Monday night gospel cruise, where we have a phenomenal gospel choir. It's an uplifting cruise, the best Southern buffet in Savannah.
Why do you think someone should take the time to experience a riverboat tour in Savannah?
Well, here in Savannah, it all started with the river. James Oglethorpe sailed up the Savannah River. We depart from the site here in Savannah that Savannah was founded. There was imports and exports leaving from the riverfront here, crossing the Atlantic. Many of the streets and buildings built along River Street are actually built with the ballast stones, which were brought over in the old sailing vessels to weight them down and make them more stable for their Atlantic crossing.
I can feel the engines revving up. It sounds like the tour's about to get started.
It is. The crew has the engines cranked up. We're going to get underway shortly. You're welcome to go up and tour the boat and see the sights along the river. There'll be a great narration by the captain who knows all the history of Savannah.
Perfect. I'm excited.
You get a whole different perspective of the city from the waterfront. There's so much history along the Savannah River, from the first steamship to sail across any ocean to the first nuclear ship sailed from Savannah. It's an amazing city, amazing point with a lot of history, and it all started right here on the river.
When we return, we're going back in time as we step aboard the Adventure. We're sailing through Charleston, South Carolina as the Southern Weekend continues. Charleston, South Carolina is one of our favorite cities in the South and a perfect destination for a summer road trip. It's a delightful mix of the old and the new, filled with plenty of ways to spend a Southern weekend. You can enjoy the surf and white sandy beaches, stroll down the streets taking in the beautiful architecture, and of course, enjoy plenty of fantastic food. And if you're curious about the history of Charleston, a great place to start is Charlestown Landing.
Can you tell us a little bit about this area and what's made it what it is today?
Charlestown Landing is the original settlement site for the colony of Carolina in Charlestown.
So when did, and I guess why is really the question, Charlestown become Charleston?
Well, Charlestown, of course, was named after King Charles II of England, but eventually the settlers in the 1700s, they didn't want to pay homage to England anymore, so at that time the name was changed from Charlestown to Charleston. Most of what we know about the settlement and how it looked came from a Spanish spy named Antonio Communis, who had infiltrated the camp, and his writings tell us what the camp looked like, the fort wall looked like, how many people occupied the fort, what they were doing, what they were wearing. Charlestown was really a branch of the Barbados colony Barbados Island, which was the most thriving colony of the English period in 1670. And that's part of the reason why Charleston is the way it is. The plantation style economy came from Barbados. The architecture, the longhouses originated from Barbados. This is a great property in the city limits of Charleston. It's 664 acres, but the place I would start is right here in the exhibit hall because it explains about the settlement, why Charleston is the way it is, and then it goes on to talk more about the business of the colony, why the colony existed anyway, and it was to make money for the 8 lords proprietors and King Charles II. He wanted to reward them for restoring him to the throne. And an interesting fact about those 8 lords proprietors, some of which are very prominent names in this area, Berkeley, Ashley, Cooper, those men never set foot in the New World. So I thought that was an interesting fact when I learned it.
They funded the voyage.
Well, they funded the voyage and funded the colony with their reward money from King Charles II. One of our favorite exhibits here to the visiting public is the Adventure, which is a ketch or a ship. It's a full-scale replica. It's a floating exhibit that kids and adults and the like can go on board and get the experience of being on a 17th century vessel.
Hi,
I'm John. Welcome aboard the Adventure.
Thank you. So this is a replica of what a real ship would have been like traveling to this area.
This would have been your typical trading vessel of the 17th century. So these boats would have been common, just up and down the coast, picking up, dropping off your cargo. It's kind of like a delivery truck.
And it would be used for goods and people and...
Primarily just goods, but anything that would be considered cargo would be below. This is a small boat, but it holds about 34 tons of cargo. So kind of like an 18-wheeler we carry today.
Now, is this just a replica, or could this actually function?
So it is a fully functioning vessel. We do not have a fully functioning crew, though, so it stays right here until we have to do maintenance on it. Basically, up here on deck is your working deck. Most of the men are going to be here all day working. We've got 3 rooms down below. The big room in the middle of the boat is your cargo room. That's all your 34 tons of cargo will go down. Most of that will be in barrels. We have a rounded bottom boat, so your barrels would go down on their side and stack until the boat was full. There's a small room in the back of the boat where your captain and first mate would sleep. On deck, we've got a big winch at the front of the boat they use to lift all the heavy cargo on and off, as well as lifting the anchor up and down. We've got a bilge pump in the middle of the boat to pump water out, because we leak a lot. And then we don't have a wheel, but we have a tiller and rudder in the back, which usually your captain or first mate would be in charge of steering.
The only thing I didn't hear you mention was a restroom.
We have both upstairs and downstairs facilities. Down below decks, there is a bucket in both the forward hatch and the aft hatch. Often the youngest man of the crew would have the good fortune to have to empty that when it gets full, which means climbing a ladder while the boat's rocking. Upstairs, though, we do have upstairs bathrooms. They're off the side of the boat on a board, and you would hold on to the shroud, which is one of the strongest part of the boats. And it is actually a self-cleaning bathroom with the waves, so it is way ahead of its time.
It's like the bidet of
Exactly.
modern day.
As long as you don't get washed off yourself, everything is good. And you are welcome to steer if you want to go back and steer. The tiller is very well balanced. It's designed so one person can move. It's over 1,000 pounds of wood, though. You can imagine that good anaerobic exercise you'll be getting there for about 6 to 12 hours.
Yeah, this would be great for the core. They probably have pretty strong abs.
What few people realize about Charlestown Landing State Historic Site is that we have a zoo here called the Animal Forest, and we exhibit animals that were native to this area at the time of settlement, such as black bear, bison, river otter, wild turkeys, white-tailed deer, bobcats, animals like that. They look like they're a lot of fun, and they're natural entertainers, but they're vicious little animals with razor-sharp teeth and claws. When they're pups, they can actually be handled, but as they grow into adulthood, they can't be.
What do you love about being able to come here and work?
Who could ask for a better office than a 664-acre park with the history that this site has and the nature that this site has?
We've come to the end of this road trip. I'm Molly McKinney. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on The Southern Weekend.